passages in Ephesians chapter 5. They come with the same, caution as last week, that they can be easily taken out of context, and they're regularly used to burden and shame and to subordinate individuals, particularly women, and those that are vulnerable in our society. So we have to be careful and on point when we read these scripture passages, that we're reading them in context of the entire letter of Ephesians and in the entire concept and context of our Bible, so that we're reading them the way Paul had intended them, as opposed to pulling one or two verses out and using them against one another. So here we go. Again, the admonitions of Paul are here to focus us on what life would look like when we're living in Christian community, when we embrace the love of Christ through the power of the Holy Spirit, rather than being guided solely by societal norms that seem to run juxtaposed to our biblical teachings. And so these verses provide instructions of what living in Christian community should be like. Paul specifically says a community built on the love of Christ will be wise, will be understanding, and filled with the Spirit. So let's jump into the 6 verses that we have from chapter 5. It says, "Be careful then how you live, not as unwise people, but as wise, making the most of the time, because the days are evil." Wisdom. What does it mean to have wisdom? What does it mean to be wise? Certainly wisdom is more than just intellectual knowledge. Wisdom is something deeper than that. It's understanding more than just right and wrong. Wisdom has this component to it of compassion. It's sound discernment. It's an attitude towards life that respects life of the other and life of self. It has this component of compassion in it for the other. So wisdom is living with compassion for the other and for ourselves. Nothing that we do happens in isolation. Everything we do has an effect, whether major or minor, on someone near us or around us. Everything that we do, every decision that we make, has some ripple effect to it. Nothing that we do happens in isolation. And so Paul is reminding us of that in community, when we make decisions and how we act towards one another, has a ripple effect and has effect on those around us. And he's saying to be wise is to be compassionate for the other, to understand the other. Then it says, make the most of the time, because the days are evil. What is Paul meaning when he says the days are evil? Paul says that because our earthly days were controlled by a couple of things. We're controlled by an evil side, the sinner side of us, and the saint side. And that's very Lutheran to us, saint and sinner. And so we're controlled by the sinner side of us. And who has that control of that realm is the evil one, Satan, the adversary, whatever you want to call that other side. Paul is reminding us of that we have that part in our world. And heavens, we can just watch the news for just a few moments and know that to be true. And so the guiles, the insidious, artful deception of Satan comes between us and our relationship with God. Anytime Satan has the opportunity to sneak in and get between us and our relationship with Jesus, then we start having trouble. We start seeing the world in a different way. We're not seeing it through the eyes of our wisdom, through our eyes of compassion. We're seeing it through something else. And Satan's pretty good at nicking in between us and Jesus all the time. And so Paul says, so do not be foolish, but understand the will of the Lord. Do not get drunk with wine, for that is debauchery, but be filled with the Spirit. Paul is articulating these contrasts to help us see the true identity of who we are in Christ, who we are as children of God. He says, tap into the wisdom that God provides because Satan is lurking close by to invite us to feast on the things that draw us away from God, those things that pull us away from community, pull us away from being strong together in an attempt to get us off by ourselves, to individualize us, to separate us, to alienate us. And those things that get in between us and alienate us that Satan uses are things like greed and power, contempt for others. Satan will even use good things like success to draw us away from God, because when we get too successful, we start taking credit for it ourselves. We start patting ourselves on the back. Look at what I've done. And those little insidious things start pulling us away and gets in between us and our relationship with Christ. And all the indulgences that cause us to lose our focus on the one who created us, the true God that has this deep, abiding love for us. Think about how a cougar preys on its next meal. Cougars are very stealthy. They just don't come out and attack. They follow you for a while. If you're out hiking, you have to be aware all the way around you if there are cougars in the mountains where you're hiking, because they'll follow and they'll go around corners and they will stalk you and look at you from all different ways. My brother was snowshoeing with some friends and cross-country skiing with some friends in the mountains just outside of Vancouver, and there was a cougar following them because they realized on the path back how many paw prints were crossing the trail that they had just passed. He's stealthy and he's cunning, and he looks at you from all sides and waits for an opportune moment to get one person by themselves. And that's why you always travel and hike in pairs at the minimum, so that you're not alone. Satan does the same thing. He stealths around us, looking for that opportune moment, and waits till we're alone to get us. Because when we're together in community, we can hold each other up and be strong for the one who isn't. It's just like you watch the safari shows on TV and watch one of the wild animals trying to lure out one animal out of a herd. And so they'll chase them around until one of them gets tired, and it's usually the young or the old, and they pull them off to the side because they're not in the strength now of community. Paul is telling us there's strength in community, and we have to be wise and use our wisdom and our compassion for one another to keep each other in community so that Jesus is with us as close as our skin. When things start getting rough in life, and we all go through it, we need to keep Jesus as close as the shirt we're wearing today and not let anything get in between those two things. Because that's when we start getting pulled away. That's when we start having fear and doubt. But when we're together, we're a heck of a lot stronger when we come together and we worship. And so that's what Paul says in the last two verses of our reading today. He says, as you sing psalms and hymns and spiritual songs among yourselves, sing and make melody to the Lord in your hearts, giving thanks to God the Father at all times and for everything in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. He's saying, keep the attitude of praise in your heart. It's toughest to do that when we're facing life realities that are so difficult and are hurtful and are hard. But in community, we can do that together. We can hold each other up and bring each other in and surround one another when it's difficult for us to do it alone. This is how we keep Jesus in between the world out there and us. And every time we feel that world reality, societal stuff sneaking in, we got to pull Jesus closer to us so that there's nothing in between Jesus and us, that we're wearing him like our shirt to protect us all the way around. And so Paul is saying, how do we do that? We get into this word and we read it and we meditate on it. We sing hymns. We sing praises. We sing doxologies. We praise the Lord even in the midst of the darkness. Because remember, he's with us all the time. But we need to wear him like our shirt, holding him close, so that every time we feel that we're starting to get pulled away, we go, no, no, no. Jesus, get closer to me. Because there will always be some cougar walking around trying to get us off by ourselves. The only place Satan can get us is in our brain, right between our two ears. Our heart is God's territory. That's where the Spirit resides in our heart. So it's Satan's work is up here between our two ears. And so if we're using our wisdom of compassion for others, that we can help one another keep those things that pull us away from God. And so that is what Paul is saying in these verses. To be wise, not to be pulled away by the things that society says are good. Because those will usually pull us away from our relationship with Christ. And so if we can do that together, we're going to be stronger. And that's the importance of worship, of coming and being together in worship. We can be alone and be with God, and those are important moments, but ultimately we need to be in community to shore each other up, because not every one of us is strong all the time. At some point, we're going to be on our knees and needing the support of our fellow Christian community. And so Paul reminds us that Christian community is loving, it's supportive, and it's with Jesus. And for those words and thoughts from Paul, we give thanks. Amen.